Hi, I'm Lori and I love books. And today I'm going to go over the rest of the books I read for 2023. But first, I wanted to show you the mostly complete. I might add a few more bears or Christmas things in the future. Oh, the kitty's being wild. She's scratching. You gonna let them see you? There she was. Okay, so here is the bracelet. So it starts with Santa. And then there's Winnie the Pooh on one side and Piglet on the other. And then it's Tigger and a penguin on one side. And then Eeyore and a reindeer on the other side. And then on the back I have even more Christmas ones. I have a gingerbread person, a snowflake, which this is the only one I'm thinking I won't keep on here. A tree, a general bear, a pink Christmas tree, a white snowman, and a white narwhal. So that's the charm bracelet. I haven't made my other beaded bracelet yet, but one of the things I did find out about Charmit, where I got most of those charms from, is that they also had ornaments. So I got this one that glows in the dark, and that's the front. And then on the back it says, I love you to the moon and back. And then they had a pink narwhal, but it didn't really go with any of my themes in my decorating. And so I just didn't get that one, but I got this cute little reindeer. So I really hope they do more next year. So I have these organized by type. So the first book is the last book I read, which is Miriam's Song. I did start it like 2 years ago, and then I had set it aside, and then I finally finished it in December. So I gave it 5 stars. It was a story about Miriam, who is Moses' older sister, and I really enjoyed the whole book. I enjoyed the writing, and I found it to be a very interesting, fairly lengthy take on a story I felt like I didn't know that much about. The other one I have is Walt Disney, Drawn from Imagination by Bill Scullin. I got this as a free book, so I wasn't sure if I would like it or not, and it was 2 stars. If I had bought it, 3 stars since I didn't pay any money for it. It was good. It was very generic stuff. Like if I was really wanting to learn who Walt Disney was, I don't feel like this would be the book. But then again, back then, people didn't disclose everything the way they do now. So that could have also been part of it. But it seems with all the archive stuff that there would have been more information. This one I had got from one of my subscriptions, Twisted Minds by Tessania Odette. I gave it 4 stars. It's a young reader, or what are they called? Young adult, sorry. And it's about a girl who's orphaned, who is in debt because her mom left her in debt. And so in this like apocalyptic type future, she has to try to earn the money to get out of debt. And so she decides she'll do 3 jobs, and one of them is being in a reality show, but instead of keeping all 3 jobs, she just does the show. And it kind of is a very what's really going on, kind of not really knowing whether what she's experiencing is real or true. And so it was an interesting book, and I liked it enough, but I don't think I'll like seek any more books by this author. It's not really something I read usually. So these next ones are the children chapter books I read. A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I read this because of the Children's Classic Club I run over on Goodreads, and it was because the 3 books for October, November, and December were on dolls. And so, oh, the kitty's jumping. Sorry. There's like a lot of dolls in this, but mainly just one, and her name's Elizabeth. I did like how um, how Sarah, the little girl in the book, finds Elizabeth, and I like how it starts, but this isn't my favorite book, basically. It's a good book. It's a great book. I think everyone should read it at least once, but it's not a book I plan on buying every copy of or every edition. This next one I had found at a Goodwill, and it's called Serendipity and Me by Judith L. Roth. And this actually was like a poetry book, which was not what I was expecting. So it's like little poems that are kind of telling a story of a little girl who had lost her mom, and it's her and her dad's a professor, and so they're dealing with that grief, but then there's also this cat, and I gave it 3 stars because I kind of was wondering if I was just being manipulated as a reader, like, oh, I'll give you all this cute cat stuff and you'll love it, and then I'll also have all this depressing stuff about a mom being, losing one's mom. And so I kind of was like, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but I really wonder if I would have liked it as much if it had been about puppies and about something a little less emotionally charged as losing one's parent. So I gave it 3 stars. Because it's good, not great, but, you know, a good book. And for Goodwill, where I didn't spend that much money, it was really good. The next book I also read because of the Children's Classics Club for spring, and it's The Cricket in Times Square by George Selden. I had read this as a child and hadn't reread it anytime since, and so I remembered some parts, but other parts I did not remember at all. And so it was really nice to reread a book and not have it either feel like, oh, I know this already, or it's all completely different than what I remembered. So that was nice. I gave it 5 stars. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I did give it 5 stars. I just was reading the wrong one. And then I also read Anansi, I think that's how it's said, The Spider, A Tale from the Ashanti, which I gave 3 stars because I felt like I didn't really learn anything. It was interesting, but I don't feel like I know the culture. And then the other book I read for the Spring Children's Classics Club was The Very Hungry Caterpillar, which I gave it 5 stars, but I don't have a copy of my own because I borrowed it from work. So that's a lot of other books I've read. And then Terror at the Zoo by Peg Carrot. I got this as well as at Goodwill. And it's about a brother and sister who win a trip to spend the night at the zoo, but instead of them being in the zoo with their family like they were supposed to, they're in the zoo by themselves, and there's a scary person there. And so the older sister thinks she can talk to the animals, which it never really says whether she can or can't, so it's up to the author or the reader to decide whether she could or couldn't. But it was very charming. It has elephants. And I kind of remember the elephant the most because it was kind of a lengthy part of the book. But also other animals you see at the zoo, including like alligators and lions and things like that. So, like, if you love zoos, if you love animals, I would recommend this one. And I don't remember how many stars I gave it because I don't have a little sticky note on the back of it like I did with my other ones. And then the last one was a short story book, The Blue Fairy Book by Andrew Lang. And I had started reading this, and then I had stopped, and then I had picked it back up, and I couldn't remember where I had left off. So I probably did reread a few stories. I think this is one of my favorite. Nope, just says I need to write a review. But there's like stories in there that I know by heart, and then stories I had never read before. So I really liked it, and I do love this edition because it is nice and shiny, and then it's got the little ribbon bookmark. So I do love books like that. So then the next are poetry books. They're deceptively heavier than I thought. So the first one is Where Hope Comes From by Nikita Gill. I've read other books by her. I enjoyed this, but it wasn't my favorite of hers, but it was a good one if you need somebody that will inspire you to overcome hard times. I think this is a good book to read. I had this one, A Children's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson, but then I found this copy, and so I reread this. So I read this copy, and I'm going to keep this copy and let that one go, because this is a type of book I have a lot of other editions of. How do you say it? I have this as my library, so I have these books from the Everyman's Library Children's Classic. So I have these type books more than just generic hardcover books. So this next one I had high hopes for, because it's Everything Comes Next, Collected in New Poems by Naomi Shihab Nye. And it had a really great introduction about how a poet felt, how she as an author felt helpless during 2020, during the isolation, feeling like her job didn't matter. And so I was like, I really like this. And then it started with the poems. And the first part are poems like she wrote as a child, which they were good, but I didn't feel like they were really connected to the introduction at all. And then there's the third part of the book where they were like poems from different, like of her culture or other cultures. And so it really felt like it was 3 books instead of one whole book. So I think I only gave it like 4 stars or maybe even 3 stars, because I kind of really liked what I was hearing in the introduction. I was expecting a lot of poems about that sort of thing, and instead they were just kind of more generic poems about life. The next one is The Bad Poet. I got this because of Alice in Wonderland, and they sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Bat. And this is by Randall Gerald, but with the pictures are by Maurice Sendak. And I gave it 5 stars. I really like this because it's mostly a prose, and then it goes into some of the poetry for that the bat is making. And then the 2 Shakespeare books I read, or the plays, are As You Like It and Romeo and Juliet. I love Romeo and Juliet. I enjoyed rereading it. As You Like It was the first time I had read it, and it was mostly confusing to me. Maybe if I understood the context better, I would have enjoyed it a little more, but Shakespeare is always good, so there's that. And so I will probably stop it there, and this will be part 1, and then there will be a part 2 of all the books I have read in 2023. And so until next time, I hope you have a lovely time reading. Bye!